The trade dispute between Canada and the United States is having a significant effect on people on both sides of the border, and it's being felt profoundly in one community in particular. Point Roberts, Washington is a bit of a geographic anomaly, part of the United States technically, but entirely cut off from the American mainland. It's a holdover from the 1846 treaty that set the 49th parallel as the main boundary between the two nations. With just over 1,000 residents, Point Roberts is almost entirely reliant on Canada and Canadians. Its water, electricity, and almost all economic activity come from the northern side of the border. And Brian Calder joins us now. He lives in Point Roberts. He's also the former president of the Point Roberts Chamber of Commerce. He's also a dual citizen. Brian, good to see you.
Good. I had a very good lead up to describing Point Roberts. You did perfect.
Well, thanks so much. I wish I could take credit, but one of our brilliant writers wrote that up. So, Brian, I got to talk to you about what the heck is happening with this ongoing trade war, the tariffs, and the tension between our two countries, which are really your two countries. What impact is that having on your community?
Absolutely devastating. And my honest fear is we're not going to survive this unless something significant is done. As you know, we went through the 20-month COVID lockdown, devastated our economy. Our service commercial people in a large part moved to what we call the other side, Blaine, Bellingham, and they're not coming back. So even when we start to recover, we're going to have a staffing problem. But more importantly, we don't even know what all the rules are yet through the border. They're evolving but the ones that we do know of are already devastating. They're going to kill our construction industry and what few businesses we have left. We have more businesses missing than we have still here. We don't have a veterinarian. We don't have a drugstore, a dry cleaner. The list goes on things we don't have. And now to pick an economic tariff fight and war, we've got enough trouble in this country with Mother Nature-driven things that we can't control. All we can do is react and rebuild from them. Tsunamis, fires, earthquakes, and so forth. Why on earth would you take your best ally, the Canadians, and pick a fight with them where there are no winners? And then you expect loyalty and you give none. Your best ally you've had in the world for 200 years, and you cut them off. It's so frustrating, as you can hear in my voice, I'm sure, that it defies any kind of logic. And this is supposed to be an intelligent person who did this.
I hear all of that, and I want to dig deeper into all of it as well, Brian. So you mentioned that this community cannot survive, and you mentioned a couple of examples. Give me a better sense, because for Canadians, as you know, because you are a dual citizen, we're taking a major economic hit because we're so reliant on the American market. But you guys in Point Roberts, it's so unique and special because you can't get anything you need unless you go to Canada, which is just like a couple of minutes drive away from where you live. So I just wonder what's the impact been on you guys? And when you say you can't survive, what does that mean?
Well, it means we're out of business. It means our people are not going to be able to survive. Our parcel post, our gas station, and we have precious little left here. We have one, thankfully, great grocery store. We have no department store, and 2 restaurants left. And even they're on the ropes already.
But are the Canadians coming over? Sorry to interrupt, Brian, but are your Canadian neighbors, are they coming down, or are they saying, no, we're not going to the States?
The emotional stress runs from anger to sympathy to empathy to support to saying, we don't trust Trump and we dislike him intensely. We're not coming to show our protest against him, if you will. And we're going to suffer from that because, as you pointed out earlier, 90% of our economy is driven by British Columbia, Canada. And as you mentioned, the support for the water and power, it comes from Greater Vancouver. We pay for it, we're happy to do so. But the fact that it comes from them, and it's retaliation, it's not initiation. That's the difference. So the initiation comes from USA, And the reaction is going to be through tariff backlash from the province of British Columbia and Canada itself. And so you can't blame that. Well, I don't blame the Canadians. If someone poked me, I'd poke them right back. And Canada has a very strong will, and Canada also has a very strong won't, and they will not be interfered with. And I get it.
Okay. Now, the last time you and I spoke, Brian, it was back in COVID days, which feels like 100 years ago, but it was so tough on your community for the exact same reasons. You have to cross a border, and you can't cross the border in the middle of the pandemic lockdown. Is this comparable? Is this worse? How, and you were doing a lot of lobby work back then. Are you still doing that now to try and fix the situation?
COVID doesn't feel like 100 years ago to us. It feels like yesterday because we lost 30% of our activity here, our economic activity, 30% of our population in the service industry side gone and not coming back. And we've never recovered to the 2018, 2019, pre-2020 March and that 20-month lockdown. And we've been hanging on literally economically ever since. And now this is now self-induced by the US government reflecting on us. It's an economic COVID. It feels just like that. And we don't see any support or help coming. So it's going to keep atrophying to the point of we can't function.
If you're a dual national, which you are, would you just move a few blocks over? Like what are the options available to someone like you right now?
Well, I'm more interested in the options for the total population here. Notwithstanding, you're right. I can move across the 2 miles from here, and I'll be in Delta, and I'll be fine. I'll be back in Canada. But there's half the population here hasn't got that option, and I care about them. And so we need this addressed by our federal government representatives in Washington State, our district representatives, and our Whatcom County, which to date we have not received. And Point Roberts has always been treated like an orphan of USA. And now it's painfully evident to the point of survival. There's no question in my mind we are going to be finished economically in within 2.5 months is my prediction. And I hope I'm wrong for a change.
Oh my gosh, 2.5 months. There's so much more I want to ask you, Brian. Unfortunately, we have to leave it there, but maybe we can check in again, maybe before 2.5 months to see how things are going. Brian Calder, thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you very much for your continued support. We do appreciate it here.
It's our pleasure.